This show is powered by BL3P, the Lightning-enabled European Bitcoin exchange.
Connect the build.
Elias Rohrer, Spiral, Berlin.
George Orwell, the pen name of Eric Arthur Blair, was a renowned English novelist, essayist, journalist, and critic. He is best known for his dystopian novels 1984 and Animal Farm, which have had a lasting impact on political thought and popular culture. Is 1984 your favorite book by George Orwell?
No.
Berlin is known for its vibrant culture, history, and very underground nightlife scene. Do you think Berlin is the best city to live in Germany?
Yes.
Esports have gained a lot of popularity in recent sports. Do you consider deprecated esports as a legitimate sport?
No.
Metal music or heavy metal is a genre of rock music characterized by its loud, aggressive sound, powerful vocals, and heavily amplified distorted guitars. It originated in the late 1960s, primarily in the United Kingdom and the United States. Metal music can be intense and energetic. Is metal music the only genre of music you listen to?
No.
Whiskey is a distilled alcoholic beverage made from fermented grain mash. Whiskey is typically aged in wooden casks, which are often made of carved white oak, and the aging process imparts the characteristics, flavor, and colors to the spirit. There are many renowned whiskey brands worldwide. Have you tried more than 10 different brands of whiskey?
Yes.
Staying hydrated is important, but everyone has their own preferences. Do you drink water more often than whiskey?
Yes.
Alien is a 1979 science fiction horror film directed by Ridley Scott. It follows the crew of the commercial space tug Nostromo, who encounters a deadly and aggressive extraterrestrial creature after responding to a distress signal from a nearby moon. The film stars Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley, a role that established her as a leading actress in action and science fiction genres. Do you think Alien is the best sci-fi movie ever made?
No.
We couldn't find what your favorite holiday destination is. Do you enjoy traveling to different places rather than sticking to one favorite spot?
Yes.
Do you prefer a pizza over a currywurst?
Yes.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connected World Weekly Podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 115 of Connected World, and this show is made possible again by our friends BL3P and BRINGIN. Thank you guys really for helping us to connect the world together, because that's our mission. If you want to use Bitcoin, then of course you use the Lightning Network. And if you also want to help out with our mission, then head over to our Telegram groups where you can ask us anything or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, a donation is always welcome. Conecta el mundo.
Welcome, Elias. Good to have you on the show, man.
Welcome again. Hi.
Thanks I can be here.
Yeah,
Of
good
course.
to have you on, man. Hey, Berlin. I must confess that I've never been to Berlin, and it's still, I would say, top 3 of my bucket list. But somehow, and I can tell you why, because I'm a big techno music lover, so I love techno music, and Berlin is like, it's the center of the center of the center of the techno scene. Great artists are from Berlin, like Paul Kalkbrenner and, well, you name it, but also the legendary clubs like Tresor and Berghain. So it was, the plan was for me and my wife and I to travel to Berlin to visit parties or just one of the iconic clubs. And then she got pregnant, and we have now 2 babies, 2 little boys, and now
changed.
we live in a completely different life.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you definitely
yeah.
should. It's especially for that. It's a really great city.
Yeah, because
techno is everywhere.
yeah, man, I know, and like it's so underground, and I spoke to a couple of friends of mine who were there, and they were like, oh man, the party never stops, right? I mean, the clubs, they don't have a closing time, right? They're in Berlin.
Yeah, at least
So
in a
it's
few
just-
clubs, there's really
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, so they said some people are just joining of entering the club on Thursday evening, and they are just partying all night of all week through a Sunday evening or something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, and even regular club goers that even go like Sunday noon or something, because they feel like, okay, I can just go out on a Sunday, just on like in the middle of the day to a club.
Yeah,
Just as a
yeah,
nice
and
Sunday
the
activity.
party and it's not like relaxing or something, like just an after party or something. The party is still going on, so it's just like it's like an infinite festival or techno party, right? That's
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's I mean,
I can tell
yeah.
you really would enjoy it, because you're getting hyped already.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I really would. But my maximum. I'm not the type of person who you always have like a multiple day. I mean, Holland, the Netherlands, is like the best in organizing festivals. So I've been to a lot of festivals, and we also have like the multiple day festivals. And I'm just the type of person that has enough for just one day. I mean, if I just went there for one day on a Saturday, for instance, I'm just going to chill out and lying on the couch on Sunday. And it's not like I just wanted to go on Sunday too. So yes, I agree with you that I want to experience that underground feeling, but just for one day or one night only. So not like Friday till Sunday. That's not my type of party.
I remember in Belgium, I went to festival with 4 days. That's really long. I mean, 3 nights in a row, and you're right. One day it could be the summum, and then the lineup is better. Or I don't know. Yeah.
But is like the techno music also something you like, Elias? Because I asked you, is metal music the only genre you listen to? You said no.
Yeah, from time to time. I'm honestly not the biggest techno fan, but yeah, from time to time. And as I said, in Berlin, you basically can't escape it. So
No. It would be a miracle to escape it in Berlin. That's for sure. Yeah. Hey, and one thing we are delighted to hear from you, because we asked you're a big whiskey lover. We were told. But you drink water more often, luckily for us, because then we can have a great conversation. Otherwise, it might be a bit difficult. Yeah, it would be harder. It would be harder. Yeah, but where did this this love came from for you, or when did it start?
I honestly don't know. Maybe from my dad or so. He also likes whiskey, but it's really nice to taste different things. You don't really drink it to get drunk. It's really like
That's right.
it, basically.
Yeah. And you've tried more than 10 different brands. Is there some brand that you think, well, that's on top of my list for next time?
No, I don't.
Something new?
Think anything on top of my head, I think.
So you already found your favorites then?
My go-tos, I would say. Maybe I'm missing out on my favorites, but my go-tos, yeah.
Yeah, that's something you don't know, for sure.
Hey, and I'm also curious. I've seen Alien series, the movie series, a lot of times. Which is your the best sci-fi movie in your opinion?
Well, Alien
that's
is
a difficult
there,
one, I think.
Maybe 2001 is really great, also.
Oh yeah, Space Odyssey. Yeah. Well, that's iconic, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Can imagine.
Yeah.
And you prefer pizza over currywurst, Elias? That's strange from someone from Germany, right?
Any day.
Any day is pizza day for you.
Question. Yeah, not every day is pizza day, but any day I would take pizza over currywurst, I guess.
Nice. Hey, cool. Hey, we're going to talk about Spiral.
Yes.
with you and about Lightning Development Kit. But I think but maybe you can explain give Spiral and LDK a bit of an introduction for the people who don't know much about it before we dive into the questions, because let's help the people a bit here.
Yeah. So I'm part of Spiral. We are the non-profit part of Block that focuses on open source development. So Block is a big corporation, but Spiral is really the open source, not-for-profit arm to further, in particular, Bitcoin open source development. And we mostly do that by, for one, developing on the Lightning Dev Kit on LDK, and on the other part, we give out grants for other open source developers and for other open source projects to support funding open source projects, because open source, not only in Bitcoin in general, is really, really critical infrastructure, actually. Many projects that need support, but it's traditionally, not only in Bitcoin, but also in Bitcoin, really hard to get good funding for it, and developers that actually get somewhat paid for what great work they're doing. And so Spiral, the second arm, I'd say, of Spiral is making funding for open source devs happen, and especially in the Bitcoin space.
Yeah, so it's also a little bit a community that has their eyes open for people that are building open source on top of Bitcoin or Lightning, and then they can have perhaps a grant if they need it to work further on their things.
Yes.
You
we have one on the show,
if
right?
you meet the criteria, I think you had a few people.
Who was it
I
again?
think so.
It was a girl. I forgot.
We had Mo from Bitcoin.
Mo.
Bitcoin Design.
Bitcoin Design. That was it. Yeah,
right. Bitcoin
she had a grant
is
from.
also a great project. And
LDK,
BDK, Fedimint, all projects that are or have been supported by Spiral.
And what's your role? What's your role, Elias? Sorry,
I'm an engineer with Spiral, working on LDK and LDK node projects mainly. Right. So,
and what brought you to Spiral? Because I can imagine with your background, were you already Bitcoiner before you applied for at Spiral?
Sure. And before I did research, actually, I did research on Bitcoin at university, did a PhD. And afterwards, I just got lucky. Like during my PhD, I actually used LDK for my research and also Rust Bitcoin, which is another Rust Bitcoin project that LDK is also dependent on. And I found these to be great projects. And when I was nearing the end of my PhD, I of course started looking for openings. And then suddenly this opening at Spiral came up, and that was like great because I was using it before. I started contributing here and there to LDK, and then I started it.
Cool.
And I remember in Amsterdam last year at the Bitcoin conference, I also spoke 2 years ago with Christoph Ono.
Bitcoin Design Community.
Uno. Yeah. I also read his new newspapers, but he's also working for Spiral.
Right. I think he had also got a grant.
A grant. He's not working for Spiral,
right.
but he got a grant for Spiral.
He got a grant.
Cool. Okay. Well, with this background, we can proceed into what we call the 21 minutes because that's our official interview part, Elias. And we can ask all kinds of stuff about LDK and Spiral. And let's do it, Edward. Let's proceed.
The 21 minutes is brought to you by BRINGIN, the app to reliably sell and spend Bitcoin from any wallet. Let's start a little bit before with the Lightning Development Kit, LDK, which motivated, of course, Spiral to create it. Why do we need the Lightning Development Kit? And especially, why do developers need it?
So LDK is a bit different than the other Lightning implementations. So there are 4 major Lightning implementations: LND, CLN, Eclair, and LDK, I would say. And while the others create a daemon out of the box, like something you can run from the start on your machine, LDK tries to be a bit different in that LDK is a library for building Lightning nodes itself, essentially. And LDK takes care of the intricate parts that Lightning can have, essentially, the really core Lightning protocol for the developers, so they can really focus on the other parts of building out a node or building out whatever wallet integration they need. So LDK is a library rather than a freestanding daemon, and you can, for example, integrate Lightning in your already pre-existing wallet. With LDK, you can just add Lightning capabilities. And yeah, so we try to make it really flexible so that you can do everything from integrating Lightning in mobile wallets up to really integrating Lightning in server daemons, and on both ends of the spectrum, use LDK.
Yeah. And you already mentioned the other Lightning implementations available, and to create LDK, working together with others seems crucial. Or are you also working together with other developers from other Lightning implementations?
Sure. I mean, in the spec group, in the Bolt spec group, there's always great exchange of ideas and opinions to develop the Lightning spec further. Same goes for the LSP spec group, where we interact with each other to further the LSP spec for open LSP standards. So the spec processes and interop testing of different implementations, I'd say, are the main parts.
That's nice. Yeah, it's very important. And from a developer's perspective, if they want to develop new applications, what are the key technical challenges that Lightning Development Kit solves for them when integrating the Lightning Network in their app?
Yes. So say you would want to add Lightning capabilities to your app, and you already have, for example, an on-chain wallet, or you even start completely from scratch, then you're a bit like you have to ask yourself, okay, where do I even start? Like traditionally, you would essentially, without LDK, you would need to really start coding everything up from the ground, essentially. All the network messages, all the channel state management, all the protocols on top, like different invoice formats, Bolt 11, Bolt 12, everything. Like there's just a lot of work that went into LDK that developers can reuse, and reuse also in a way where they essentially make their own. So for example, they can just take channel management from LDK and decide to re-implement everything below, like the entire networking stack on their own, if they need to do so for their special application, or switch it around and just use LDK's networking stack, or just use the Lightning invoice crate to read and write invoices, which many projects do. Other projects in the space like Fedi or Breeze and so on, they all take parts of LDK here and there and reuse them.
Yeah, so it saves a lot of time for people that are just getting started. I mean, it's like the protocol itself is even just a couple of years old. So I can imagine that if you want to start programming or creating an app or something like that, it saves you a hell lot of time if you can just implement those sort of templates or things that are already available for you.
Yeah,
so
it's really like a software development kit for Lightning. So essentially in the same way that Apple provides a software development kit for the iPhone and gives a lot of methods to interact with the device and so on, and pre-configure stuff for developers to make it really easy to build apps. LDK tries to aim to be a very similar toolkit for developers, essentially.
That's great.
So also on the knowledge side, that they don't need to know everything how it works, but they can use it. They can call it with their programming language that they're using to use it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that there are challenges in getting users to adopt Lightning, such as user experience and network reliability, depending on where you live, for instance. How does LDK help mitigate these challenges to promote broader adoption of the Lightning network?
So in a few areas, I'd say, for one, if you say network reliability, I assume you mean payment reliability, and to that end, LDK comes with a probabilistic pathfinder that also learned from historical data. That means if you tried a payment in the past, or to begin with, even if you try the first payment, we try to estimate the probability that this payment would actually succeed, and we try to optimize for or at least influence which path we use by the probability that it's going to succeed. And there are like a lot of different factors that can influence that in Lightning. And also we learn then from historical failures and adjust this probability accordingly.
And one of the significant benefits of LDK is its capability to run Lightning nodes on a mobile device, of course, in a non-custodial way.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on how LDK achieves this and benefits also to it with all the benefits it brings to users and developers?
Yeah, I think the LDK team are big believers in the self-custody, especially also really end-user self-custody, to really run Lightning nodes on the device you own and you hold the keys for yourself. That includes pathfinding, for example. And we enable that by, for one, providing language bindings for LDK and also LDK node themselves, so that these projects can be used, for example, in Swift or in Kotlin or in Java in different environments, and in Swift, for example, then to run it on iPhone, to build iPhone apps or iOS apps with LDK integration. But also, for example, a great example also here is a Mutiny wallet, which is actually not using our language bindings, but they are actually using LDK Rust code to compile it down into WASM, WebAssembly, which then runs in some form of browser, essentially, which is really it's really great. So we had a lot of interaction with the Mutiny guys. They're great. They contributed to LDK itself to make minor adjustments, but also it really shows the flexibility of LDK. That's really, it can run actually in a browser window, like not like a plugin or like an interface to Lightning node, but an actual Lightning node just running in your browser.
That's
a great example. Yeah.
And LDK simplifies the process for developers who may have not extensive technical knowledge of the Lightning network or the Bitcoin network even. Do you think that this is a potential problem, thinking about the security needed to integrate Bitcoin and Lightning in mobile apps or just apps you build? And for instance, managing keys and all that kind of stuff can be pretty difficult, even for us hardcore Bitcoiners.
Yeah, so I think that there are several ways to go about it. Yes, you're right. Especially if you run a larger routing node, there are additional complexities that come into mind. But if you go to an end user wallet, really, several of these issues get a lot more or easier. For one, you likely won't manage that many funds on a mobile device. So at least this kind of really great risk of having a hot wallet is reduced just by the fact that you might not run with that many funds. But in general, also the technical challenges get a bit better. But also in LDK, we try to provide a lot, for one, a sane API and a foolproof API where it's possible, at least. Lightning is it's not always possible in Lightning, but where it's possible, we try to provide a foolproof API where you can do too many things wrong, and also to provide same default values. And this direction even more so, we try to go in this direction even more so with the LDK node project that even provides even more of these same defaults and a more opinionated setup basically for your Lightning node.
Yeah. Well, talking about LDK node, because you're mentioning it, can you give us a little bit of overview of what LDK node is and how it simplifies the process of setting up a self-custodial Lightning node?
Yeah. So as just discussed, LDK is really a library that's really flexible. It provides basically all the small details that you need to really fine-tune your specific and tailor your specific Lightning implementation, whether it runs in the mobile wallet or on a server node. LDK node is a bit more opinionated. And the idea of the project is to provide a fully ready-to-go Lightning node that is much simpler to instantiate and basically even more foolproof with giving a more simplified recipe, essentially, how to use LDK in conjunction with an integrated BDK on-chain wallet, because LDK itself doesn't come with the on-chain part. You have to provide that in any way you seem fit. But LDK node comes with an integrated on-chain wallet and also with a tight integration with that on-chain wallet. So what it gives us is basically LDK node is also a library, but it really spawns up a Lightning node essentially in just 5 lines of code and really quickly. And it provides an even simpler, really easy to use API that you just integrate a Lightning node, including an on-chain part that you can make on-chain transaction, pay-to-earn transaction soon, and so on. Really with this really small or only very few steps to integrate.
And amazing, right, Steph? I mean, 5 lines of code.
That's crazy. Yeah. And with the focus on mobile first self-custody, how does LDK node ensure a smooth and efficient user experience for mobile application developers?
Yeah, so for one, we also provide language bindings for LDK node itself in Swift and Kotlin, also Python, but for the mobile part, of course, Swift and Kotlin are interesting for iOS and Android. And we try to maintain them really to the same standard API-wise as the Rust counterparts, so that hopefully basically all the functionality are also available on mobile devices. And on the other hand, we try to integrate additional features that are really great for mobile devices. For example, we integrated LSPS2 chip channel support, just-in-time channel support, which allows you to, in LDK node now, create an invoice, a payable invoice with just one method call. You say receive via chip channel and give it an amount and a description, and you get a chip invoice back. And then you can give that to anybody, and if that invoice is paid, your LSP that you're connecting to will create a just-in-time channel for you. And this really solves the onboarding issue that especially mobile users have, self-custodial mobile users have traditionally, because especially in the mobile user, imagine you create or you install a wallet app for the first time and you don't have that functionality. Now you have to do channel management on your mobile phone, and
you can't receive funds if you don't have a channel, right? Because there's just no liquidity available.
Yes, and that is great. You can do channel management still if you're an advanced user or if you want to do that. But for a traditional mobile user that maybe some app wants to compete with PayPal rather than with another Bitcoin wallet, basically, at least user experience wise, it's really hard to market that to a normal user, basically. That is not a technical Bitcoiner. So just the ability to having a good just-in-time channel integration and to source liquidity with just one API call is really powerful, we think, for
And I think also it's different than, I, for example, use also Breeze, and that syncs or needs to sync. But this works differently, right? It doesn't need to sync all the time with with a tiny bit of the chain, right?
Right. So we still need, of course, to source for chain data. And we do that by, for example, syncing with an Explorer server for the chain data. We need to know what's happening on chain. But the other part basically for the on-chain integration, or so like for syncing to a wallet, really, that the wallet is really running locally on the device, right?
Yeah. And if you're talking about scalability of LDK node, how well does it handle an increasing number of transactions and channels?
In our testing so far, pretty good. We so far, at least the initial use case is really targeted to mobile users. It runs completely fine on the devices we tested. In the wallets we tested it with, the integrations is great for mobile users. It also runs really nicely in cloud environments or other things like that. And then it depends if you want to just spawn up one single node at a time. LDK node would be a really great option for you, basically, if you want to do that via an API.
Yeah, and you mentioned, and this is something that interests me a lot in an article, that LDK node can source gossip data via the Rapid Gossip Sync protocol. Well, when we discussed it in the pre-talk, when we did those rings of fire, we had a lot of issues with the gossip data, because it takes a lot of time, and it can be it is reliable, but it just takes way too long for the gossip to reach each node, especially when you are in a ring of fire, including a lot of nodes, and you have to have all the gossip distributed to every node. It's like a hell of a job. We know Edward by experience. How does this the Rapid Gossip Sync protocol? How does this improve the node's operation in mobile environments with limited bandwidth, for instance?
Yes. So for one, Rapid Gossip Sync is great because the idea is here to instead of just shipping all the gossip data to all the mobile nodes, it allows to ship a snapshot of the current network graph via HTTP, and mobile nodes can just update that regularly every few hours, essentially, whenever they start up or whatever. You just download a few megabytes from an HTTP server that is always available, and you get this really highly compressed and compacted network graph delivered to your device that you then can use to route payments first and foremost. As I said before, pathfinding is really an important matter. And if you outsource pathfinding, you're basically leaking who you're paying and how much you're paying to whom, to whoever is doing pathfinding for you. So in LDK, especially with Rapid Gossip integration, we can run pathfinding locally on device, even on mobile devices, and based on this compacted network graph, we also can do that reliably, because we don't have to wait for the entire network graph to sync every time, essentially.
That's great.
Yeah. And are there any trade-offs or things that you still need to work on for making it even better in the future?
With it, you mean LDK or LDK node? Or?
Yeah, I was thinking about, the API is much simpler now, of course, and simplicity can also be a problem, perhaps. But this sounds awesome, of course.
Yeah,
so that's why.
Yeah, working this trade-off was honestly one of the major challenges in working on LDK node, because we want to make it as simple as possible and keep the API as small as possible and as succinct as possible, basically, and as streamlined as possible, while at the same time allowing our users to do whatever they want to do and need to do, essentially. And this is a fine line to walk, essentially, to, on the one hand, also accommodate user requests, and on the other hand, saying, no, you need to solve this a different way because this is so special for your use case. We won't put that in the API because once we do that for everybody, basically it just blows up the API again. So this is basically one of the challenges of working on LDK Node. And you probably need to ask our users, but so far I think we're doing a good job with that. And also what we're constantly trying to do is integrate more features and more modularity in it, basically. For example, switching between RGS gossip syncing or peer-to-peer gossip syncing. You can just do that in the builder method, say, I want to use that or that. Currently, we are relying on Explorer change source, but BitcoinD and Electrum, for example, change sources will come real soon. Sourcing entropy from different sources like raw bytes or mnemonics or different change sources like that. So we still try to maintain a high configurability, but try to still keep it simple, basically.
That's perfect. Yeah, sorry, Edward. I saw. I think we had a bit of a lag. No, that's great. I also wanted to ask you something about Bolt 12, Elias, because Bolt 12 introduces enhanced privacy features like onion messages and route blinding. How does LDK integrated Bolt 12, and what benefits does this integration bring to developers using LDK?
So Bolt 12 was recently added to LDK itself, and just a few days ago merged in LDK Node. So LDK Node now supports Bolt 12 pay and receive too, and it's much more private. It should be used soon instead of Bolt 11 where possible. And I really hope that we see more and more Bolt 12 adoption real soon.
That's nice. Awesome. That's nice. Yeah. So the next time we invite you to the show, Elias, we can really talk about how this made.
It's early, but I think
exactly
all the things it can give us. I think it's great to follow that. Yeah, indeed. Well, we had a lot of questions. We had to choose, so that's also very difficult. But maybe next time.
Sure.
Would be great to ask you all those other questions.
Connetti il mondo.
Yeah, luckily we have still one left, Elias, for you. And you may choose yourself. And you can choose from, let me check the names. I always scroll. Yeah, I see here. We have prepared one from Buvo. He works for Emboss. He's a fellow Dutchie, by the way. We have one from Tony Klaus. He's from Stable Channels. And from Gerardo Linares. And he is running the Bitcoin Berlin community in El Salvador.
From Buvo, please.
Buvo. All right.
Hello, my name is Buvo from Emboss Technologies. My question for you is, do you think that we will have stablecoins on Lightning within the next 5 years?
Oh, that's a tough one. As they usually are, right?
Indeed. 5 years is long, but yeah, well.
Stablecoin. I think we'll have at least it technically working. If they're actually used and adopted, that's a different question. I forgot basically my glass bowl to look into it, basically.
Yeah.
So that one is really hard to tell for me. I think in 5 years' time, surely if they're developed, they will be developed in the next 5 years. If they're actually adopted, I can't really say.
Yeah, we can tell you're a researcher, Ines. We had the same with René Picard. If you ask René just like a quote unquote simple question, you guys way overthinking the stuff. Like, do we have it? Yeah, but are we going to use it?
It's
like
a thing like
overthinking.
Can't answer a question
Clearly
with
this one was not a yes or no question. So
No, exactly. Yeah. Safe. You're safe.
Well, let's follow this, and in within 5 years we're just being in contact, and then
we can come back to it.
Let's talk about it. All right.
Nice.
Connect the world.
Yeah, people of Elias, where can people follow you, man? Do you maybe have a Twitter account or a website to the project of LDK for people who are interested to work with that, obviously?
So
or some devs that want to try it out.
Sure. So I'm not super active on Twitter, but still _TNull, TNULL on Twitter. But more importantly, Spiral BTC on Twitter and Lightning DevKit on Twitter. And also there's, of course, lightningdevkit.org. And I especially encourage everybody to check out LDK Node, which is linked from the lightningdevkit.org website.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
And we will put it in show notes too.
Cool.
Yeah, indeed.
Thanks.
Well, thanks again, Elias, and thanks for everybody else for listening in. And of course, thanks to everyone helping to connect the world with us. And if you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also make a donation. And subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. We need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running, sets flowing, and of course use LDK node. Try it out, and see you all next week on the same Lightning channel. Arrivederci,
Auf Wiedersehen,
Elias.
Elias.
Thanks.